Pragmatism is a philosophical tradition centered on the linking of practice and theory. It began as a philosophical movement in the 1870s in the United States. Pragmatism can be linked to progressivism and Reconstructionism, which both use students' experience to help them learn and grow. Although pragmatism is mostly associated with the influence of William James and John Dewey, it was first coined by Charles S. Peirce. He was mainly interested in scientific experimentation, and what was considered the truth was then what happened from those experiments, which were observed by a community of scientists.
William James made a number of important changes to Peirce's pragmatist understanding of truth. For Peirce, a belief worked when it allowed one to make predictions, which could be, and were eventually verified. So when someone believes a ball will fall and hit someone, that theory works. For James, what works meant whatever produces results we agree with. He believed that when a belief works, in this broad sense, why call it true? Why not calling something like useful? But a useful belief is not necessarily the same as a true belief. James was quoted in his paper as saying, "If it can make no practical difference which of two statements be true, then they are really one statement in two verbal forms. If it can make no practical difference whether a given statement be true or false, then the statement has no real meaning. In neither case is there anything fit to quarrel about. We may save our breath and pass to more important things." James also stated, "All that the pragmatic method implies, then, is that truth should have practical consequences." In England, the word has been used more broadly, to cover the notion that the truth of any statement consists in the consequences, and particularly in there being good consequences.
John Dewey had a major influence in the pragmatism world. He believed in interacting with the environment to test hypotheses. Dewey believed that the traditional educational system at the time was too concerned with delivering knowledge and not with understanding it through students' experiences. However, he did not want complete student-driven education. The curriculum must be designed in a way that allowed individual differences because not everyone is the same. He believed people are affected by and learn things from experiences. The previous educational system focused on freedom of the students and little constraint from the teacher. Dewey did not believe that freedom was the answer. In his opinion, learning needed structure and order, but should be based on a clear theory of experiences, not the whim of teachers or students. Dewey also believed that pragmatism would help students become a more successful member of the democratic society. It allowed students to become involved, which gave them value, and people would see them as equal and responsible members of society. The old system of education did not provide a good model for life in a democratic society.
Dewey held that ideas are best thought of simply as instruments, or tools, that men use to inquire into and solve their problems. Dewey also believed that most problems are basically social in nature. Applying the pragmatic theory to a classroom is quite simple. You can provide the students with tools and the hypothesis, but they must figure out the answer on their own. For example, teaching a student a sports skill in physical education often uses the pragmatic theory to help them learn. The student is given the tools to complete the task, such as shooting a basketball, kicking a soccer ball, throwing a baseball, or learning how to hit a golf ball. The student must practice the skill over and over, and eventually, through this, the skill will be refined to perfection.